Okay, so She-Hulk episode 3 has just dropped on Disney Plus, and throughout this video we're going to be going over what happens, the Easter eggs in it, and also how the Abomination plot might tie in with the Thunderbolts. Smash that thumbs up button like you're the Wrecking Crew, and don't forget to subscribe for our breakdowns on the show every week. Without the way, let's not waste any more of your time. Let's get into the breakdown of the Wong cinematic universe. Now, when she's not twerking, she's working on the Abomination case. After last week's reveal that he'd been sneaking out to participate in clubs that we don't talk about, we see the other side of this with him eventually getting freed. We initially open with the damage-controlled supermax prison that's based on the cube in the comics. Whereas last week Jen was sheepishly moving through the compound, now she's flashing her badge and storming through the lasers. She's pissed that Blonsky lied to her, but it was just all semantics.
You said to my face that you never turned into the Abomination anymore.
No, I said I choose not to. These were extenuating circumstances.
Now there's two QR codes in this episode, with the first being on Emil's prison uniform, and the second being later on Pug's laptop. Whilst the latter one scans to give you some free She-Hulk comics, the one on the uniform unfortunately doesn't work on my phone, but we've left it on screen right now, so if your kids can manage to grab it, then write it in the comments below. Now I love how we can see in his cell that he has a singing bowl set, and typically these are used to create a relaxing sound to just chill you out. He says he was forced by Wong to go to the the club, and this episode features a lot of appearances by the character. Now in the comics, it was Doctor Strange who ended up going to the law firm, and we had quite a different storyline with him. Issue 3 centered around the murder of Bailey Briggs, who came back as a ghost with the help of Strange. He'd returned to this mortal coil to reveal who had killed him, and there was a big discussion early on about whether a ghost could testify or not. They actually brought up the snap and said that because people had gone and then come back, that the same rules should apply with ghosts too. He blamed his wife for it so that his true killer could get off scot-free and go to hell forever. He tried to kill Jen to cover this up, and he ended up being stuck in prison for his entire 100+ year sentence due to this attempted murder. Now in the comics, Strange was the Sorcerer Supreme, whereas here it's Wong. We even get a sort of LinkedIn profile for the character, listing all of his jobs, including that, when he was a librarian at Comitage, and also when he worked there as a Target sales associate. Spent about 10 minutes weighing up whether he worked at a Target as a sales associate, but with the location being Comitage, I think he just did it with the Wizards. Now Bruce Banner is a mutual connection, and the pair of course met at the start of Infinity War. From here we get Jen breaking the fourth wall in what I think is the best one so far. I love how she just takes her hands off the wheels and you can see everything continuing to move in the background, clearly showing it's a background.
I know you can't wait to see Wong. I get it. I just want to make sure that you don't think this is one of those cameo every week type of shows. It's not.
It's almost like the MCU set itself up to constantly be doing cameos all the time, and now they're annoyed at people thinking there's gonna be cameos. Either way, we know that we're getting lots of cameos in the show, as not only is Abomination and Wong here, but we're also getting Daredevil too. Let the cameos commence.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Now She-Hulk is all about becoming your best self, and that's why we've teamed up with Manscaped to bring you their new performance package, 4.0. Now inside it you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which has a cutting-edge ceramic blade that has advanced skin-safe technology. You will marvel at its way from stopping you getting cut, and on top of that, it's also waterproof. Say you need to jet out to Mexico to do some training, it's also got a travel lock function that means it won't set off when you're on the go. It also has a 4000K LED spotlight that shines as bright as the arc reactor, so if you're shaving at night, you can see your face a lot better, or if you're just shaving in the day, also helps as well. Now, I've been using Manscaped for over a year now, it's quick and efficient, and it always gets the job done. Now after you've given yourself the perfect haircut, you can also use the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant Spray that will help your Abomination stay cool. It's got a soothing aloe vera formula, and it's the best in the business when it comes to keeping you cool and also smelling great. There's also the Crop Reviver Toner, and Manscaped threw in 2 free gifts. This includes the anti-chafing boxer briefs that means your Hulk will never get a rash, and the shed travel bag that will always protect your kit. On top of this, if you're wearing sandals, in that Mexico trip, then make sure you get the Shears 2.0 luxury grooming kit. It's got stainless steel nail cutters, tweezers, and grooming scissors, so it's got you covered when it comes to the rest. Go to manscaped.com and enter heavy spoilers at the checkout for 20% off and also free shipping. That's manscaped.com, heavy spoilers at the checkout, 20% off, and free shipping. Manscaped.com, heavy spoilers at the checkout, 20% off, free shipping. You know you love it. See you next time. Shabao. Now we cut to Los Angeles news, and in keeping in line with their report from episode 2, we see a PR statement by Titania. She says she's confident her legal team will make her legal troubles go away, and I am expecting to see her popping up in the series again, with this being the subplot. The She-Hulk origin run actually ended with a battle against Titania in the Supreme Court, and though the first episode had something like this, I could see it being also a potential finale. Now you also get a picture of Blonsky that's pulled right out of The Incredible Hulk. Love how they have his prison photo too, and next we jump to the Tattle News show. It's very much a play on the gossip news channels on YouTube, and we even pull out to see some related videos. These include the She-Hulk is not real theory, as well as how it's a hoax, and also the truth about the so-called She-Hulk. Lots of conspiracy theories flying around about her, with people believing she's not real because of how bad the CGI is. Oh sorry, it's fine, it's just me being my usual dickhead self and looking for jokes to dunk on. I apologise, yeah, it's a personality flaw. Now, next we get some social commentary on what the internet tends to do whenever a female hero is announced. I'm guessing that this was added in after the backlash when the show first got teased towards, or Marvel could just be at the point now where they expect it and are just calling it out in advance. I doubt they really care, because they're probably laughing straight to the bank, but amongst this is Dom the Bounty Hunter saying, so we gotta have affirmative action with superheroes. Hard Seltzer Steve says, no more female superheroes please. Darby Don't Care says, why are you turning every superhero into a girl? No one asked for that. Not Here to Make Friends asks why everything's gotta be female now, and that's weird because I'm sure I left that comment, not him. Neil Isn't Sorry 32 wants someone to find a reason to cancel She-Hulk, and Mum's favourite theorises whether the hashtag MeToo movement is why all the male heroes are now gone. Depends if your hero was Harvey Weinstein, but moving on. Now lastly, I'm getting so much shit for that joke, I can already see the comments being typed now. Now lastly, we get the common criticism of a guy saying,
I have no problem with female heroes. I'm just saying, make your own. I don't know about
this is normally something that's said whenever a character is gender or race swapped, and we even had She-Hulk last week talking about how all the new heroes just seem to be spin-offs. Kind of funny how you can also see one that says Team He-Hulk, and yeah, when are we getting a bloody He-Hulk? I'm bloody raging!
Shut the f*** up, Ryan Airy!
This whole thing is just poking fun at general internet backlash to superhero projects, with people doing blogs from their cars and also news reports popping up. The conversation with Jefferson Coop feels like it's parodying news reports from certain wings of the political spectrum, but one thing that we won't do at the Heavy Spoiler Show is that we'll never make fun of you or say that we don't want you here because of your political beliefs. I'm happy to take money from everyone, and then we see Jen walking in to take money from Abomination. Now, nice little detail here that I appreciate is how her suits have changed. Knowing that she's going to have to be in the office in She-Hulk form, she's had to get bigger ones, and I'm pretty sure that the one she has on is a man's suit. Seems that way rather than being a woman's, and a nice bit of costume design. Now it turns out that Dennis is being conned by a light elf from New Asgard who's been masquerading as Megan Thee Stallion. Light elves are of course the opposite to dark elves, who were the main antagonists in Thor the Dark World. New Asgard is where they resettled in Tonsberg after the destruction of their home in Ragnarok, and they're now clearly starting to integrate more with the humans. Here, we're also introduced to Mallory Buck. In the comics, Mallory was one of the best lawyers in LA, who was also notable for her supermodel looks. They called her the face that never lost a case, and she appeared quite heavily in the Dan Slott run. The show seems pretty light-hearted, so I doubt they'll go this route, but she did become an antagonist in the original work. She ended up becoming the chairperson of a group aptly titled Fourth Wall Enterprises, which tried to tear She-Hulk down. They wanted to remake their own version that they could control, which could be a possible plot point once Jen gets more popular. Pug also features heavily in the episode too, and as we discussed last week, he was kind of a love interest for Jen in the comics. Can see that being the route that they go in the show, and with us still having 6 episodes left, there's a hell of a lot to explore. Now at this point, Wong teleports in, and he starts to act as a character witness. He says,
Everything Mr. Blonsky told you is factual. I extracted him from the prison against his own wishes.
Now I kind of feel like he's lying here, as he did talk to Abomination like the pair had worked together a lot.
Maybe you'll start controlling those punches like we practiced.
Seemed more like he was training him, which we might get more info on later down the line. Now Abomination ends up being freed come the end of the entry, and I think it'll be interesting if we see him in a future project right before the Thunderbolts. Anyway, it's two time. So with him walking free, it kinda derails our theory from last week that he'd be forced to work with the Thunderbolts. In case you don't know, they're sort of Marvel's answer to the Suicide Squad, and the group is made up of supervillains who end up reforming in order to do good. We have a couple of potential members already, such as John Walker, Zemo, Yelena Belova, and also Abomination. I am expecting us to see Val recruiting Abomination, and though I thought it would be from prison, she might just appear at a plot of his land. Blonsky was of course desperate to become a hero like Captain America, and this could end up being his redemption arc. I would love it if this series ended with a post-credits scene similar to Black Widow, where we watch Val go to him, and that would neatly set things up for an upcoming bad guy movie. Thunderbolts will release in 2024, so they'd really need to start putting things into production now in order to hit that date. Obviously, they haven't announced a director yet, so I'm guessing that will come soon, and then we'll go from there. Anyway, that's fuck up. Now Wong also does this nice little line.
I'm not erasing everyone's memories, not again.
That's not what I was thinking. That is highly unethical.
Yeah, it's also very messy, believe me.
This of course links back to Spider-Man No Way Home, which Strange did. Wong, you didn't do it, mate. But maybe this is a little joke about how everyone forgot, so he doesn't even really know himself. He also talks about sending Abomination to the Mirror and Shadow Dimension. The Mirror has of course popped up in several movies at this point, and the Shadow Dimension is another name for the Dark One. This popped up at the end of Doctor Strange, and it also got a tease in Multiverse of Madness. Clea actually comes from this realm, and I'm guessing that we'll see more of it in Doctor Strange 3. He agrees to show up at the hearing and explain it all, and hopefully everything will just blow over. Now the subplot follows Dennis and Pug going through the former's case. Turns out that he bought the elf a mid-sized sedan, which always makes me think about the movie Old and the rapper in that. Could have said in episode 1, yeah, that they went to the beach that makes you go green, eh?
Boo, you suck!
Anyway, on his laptop we see the YouTube parody U-screen, get the QR code, and also see a related video talking about how a pony imposter thinks it's a stallion. There's also a video for Malgado Te, which translates to In Spite of You, which I have no idea what this is a reference to, and you guys are smarter than me, so you probably know, so drop it in the comments below. Now on top of that, we also have the Iron Man 3's honest review video, which links back to the laptop Easter egg last week. At this point in the video, we see the elf transforming back, and this sets up the introduction for them to come in pretending to be Dennis. Pug is alerted by the real Dennis, and we can hear that he drives a Cybertruck.
You there? Hey, Jaws on the floor because I drive a Cybertruck.
Security!
They're made by Tesla, and yeah, obviously the writers are like, guy drives a Tesla, he's a douchebag. But you know what? I think the cars are alright, so maybe it's saying something about me, and that's why I hate Marvel these days. Hate them. Anyway, it's time for the best part of the show, Jared's Easter eggs.
So at the damage control prison, we see lines of reporters waiting to report on the results of the Abominations trial. Now during this, Jen is actually asked by a reporter whether or not she was actually rejected from the Avengers, and then a reporter from this news then reports on it immediately. Now this shows how the news about Jen, or her She-Hulk persona, is spiraling out of control, but also ties back to the Dan Slott run of comics. In that Jen lived in the Avengers mansion, but then was eventually kicked out because of all of her partying. Now in the credits we see an Easter egg of Jen picking up a cabinet while her mom vacuumed underneath, and this is pulled directly from that book, but instead of her mom, it's Jarvis. In the prison we see Blonsky's soulmates, and they're all wearing these white floral dresses, evoking images similar to that of the cult from Midsummer. Now obviously everyone knows that white dresses are a symbolism for marriage, so the Abomination has 7 different soulmates while in prison, and you can't even get a date. You suck.
What the hell, Jared, mate? I'm not having that, like. Guys, if you're watching, if this video gets 50,000 likes, I'll publicly fire Jared on a live stream. Make sure that like button gets hit, because I know he's a piece of crap. Now, Blonsky's trial might even be a slight nod to the trial of the Incredible Hulk. That's already been referenced slightly in the first episode, when we had the courtroom fight similar to that made-for-TV movie. Now at this point, we get more character witnesses. On screen we can catch their names, and a Google searched each one of them. Amy Chance is actually the name of a Marvel supervisor, according to LinkedIn, And hopefully everyone starts adding her right now. I'm sure she'll love that. Now, Cowit is also the name of a costume designer that works in the company. Anyway, Wong finally arrives, and we catch what looks like a couching camouflage. Mirroring this trial, Runa's defense tries to go for
diplomatic community.
Now, Runa also ends up aping Thor's speech about Asgard at the end of Ragnarok.
Asgard is not a place, it is a people. Therefore,
Thor's inspirational speeches are not admissible in court.
Now, there's a bit of a mistake there, and people always point out my mistakes, so I relish whenever I can do it. But it was actually Odin who said it, and also Heimdall.
Asgard is not a place. Never was.
Asgard is not a place. It's a people.
Kevin Feige, you're a chump.
See you, chump.
Now, Runa in the comics is actually the name of one of the Valkyries that served Asgard. I don't think that's the case here, but it could be a link to the Donny Cates run. Now, after a bit of a comedy switcheroo, Dennis starts coming out on top. I think he might end up popping up again in future episodes, as he does pull from the comics. Dennis Bukowski was also a DA in the source material that constantly tried to outdo Jen. He ended up prosecuting Lou Monkton, who had been framed by Nicholas Trask, and after Jen beat him, he kept trying to outdo her. Now, mirroring this win, we get one with Abomination after Wong reveals that he offered him asylum at Comitage, but that he wanted to return to serve out his sentence. Asylum was also given to Rintrah in Multiverse of Madness, and according to the deleted scene leaks, he was meant to be shown to arrive there in order to seek out a home. After being questioned on it, Blonsky decides to show that he's in control of the beast within, and he transforms. They do cut around this, and him turning back to save money on the CGI budget, which is weird as I'm sure they had more of it in the trailer. Maybe they just didn't have time to finish it off, and there's been a number of VFX workers recently saying they've been overworked by the studio and have to get things out quicker than a heavy spoilers video. So who knows what's really going on there. Also, I had this weird comment on the first video saying that if you complain about the CGI, it just means you hate women. Does it though? Really? Everyone panics and they need to come up with a way that it can be controlled. As they leave, we also get this nice little line.
Is there any truth to the rumors you got your powers from a mafia hit gone wrong?
Now, this calls back to the comics, and in those, she was shot by a gang of mobsters. Bruce ended up having to give her a blood transfusion in order to save her life, and when the mob returned to finish the job, she ended up changing into She-Hulk. Back at the bar, Jen talks about how she's being lumped in with a monster like Abomination. We also get the theory that she's having a baby with the character, and look at that cute little Aboma baby. Move over, baby Vision, you're dead to me. And after talking with Pug, Jen drops what is probably my second favourite wall break in the whole show.
You're gonna need that.
Connecting the A and B story? Nice.
Now, I can't actually think of a time outside the stuff with Sword and the main plot points in WandaVision that an MCU show actually connected the A and B storyline, so well done there, guys. Now, Pug gets her to swear under oath that Dennis is delusional, and we get more Megan Thee Stallion in what becomes the biggest MCU cameo since Elon Musk popped up in Iron Man 2. Connecting the Elon Musk and Cybertruck joke there. Nice. Also, before you start, I did say I quite liked them, yeah? I didn't say I worship the ground that the guy walked on before you start, because I know what you're like. Put your keyboard down. Now, in a great time from this to the Abomination plot, Jen gets the idea from Dennis to inhibit Emil's powers. He's fitted with an inhibitor device similar to Bruce, and this means that he'll stay in human form like he did. Guessing that this will get smashed up too so that he can be in the Thunderbolts, and I swear if this doesn't happen, then I've wasted about 10 minutes across every video talking about nonsense. Now when we join Emil, we can actually see one of his tattoos under his sleeve. This also popped up in the Incredible Hulk as well, but rather than being a character design, this actually belongs to Tim Roth, who has it in real life. This is a tribal armband, and Roth has said in interviews that each one of his tattoos has a significant meaning for him. Whilst I couldn't find an example of him saying exactly what this one means, it tends to signify the death or birth of a loved one. Now She-Hulk follows Nikki and Emil's advice and decides to tackle the news head on and give an interview with them in order to control the narrative. She explains her name origins and it goes pretty well. That night though, she's attacked by the Wrecking Crew, who all have mystical weapons. These villains actually pull from the comics, and we know from the trailers that they'll be showing up again. Now as for their origin story, they were born when their leader Wrecker and 3 others grabbed an enchanted crowbar just as a bolt of lightning struck it. This was also held by Thunderball, Bulldozer, and Piledriver. This granted them all mystical abilities, and in the comics they've been antagonists of Thor. Now we learn that they actually robbed an Asgardian construction worker, and this might even tie in with the Light Elf, though we don't get any further details on it. Though they get their asses handed to them, they do tease that they're working for someone else. Now there is the potential that this could be the Roxxon Corporation, which would tie back to the theories on the first episode. Though we never learned who Holloway was acting in defense of in the first episode, Ryan Airy, he theorized that it might have been for Roxxon. However, I think they might actually be under the villain the Hood, who we know is going to be popping up in Ironheart. In the comics, the gang actually worked for him at one point, and his criminal empire would be the kinds of people that would go after her blood. However, this blood may also tie in with Titania. This was carried out by Dr. Doom during the first events of Secret Wars, and it could tie in with that. I did think Titania got took out too easily, and she has been laced throughout the episode since, namely in the news reports. We haven't really got a main antagonist here yet, so it would make sense to build up someone Jen slighted through Titania. The comics also ended with a big fight with her in court, so this would tie things all together, and to me be the most likely option. Now the credit song plays upon this idea of getting her blood, and we hear the song Seize the Power by Yanaka. This has lines about how the power is yours for the taking, linking back to the Wrecking Crew trying to grab it from her. We also see elements of the show now in credit form, such as Emil's wives as they scream whilst he's taking out the cube. There's also Nikki holding up some books, and Dennis and the Light Elves date. The post-credit scene then ends with Megan hiring She-Hulk, and the pair start twerking. Now, as for my thoughts on this episode, I think this was probably the one I enjoyed the most out of the three. Yes, I finally said I actually liked one of them. Now, I know the Tim Roth stuff has neutered the Abomination a bit, but I like the comedic side of it, and it's always good to see Wong in an episode. I think that this will probably also be the format that the show goes in from now. For example, the first episode was the origin stuff, the second was about her getting a job and her first client, whereas this will probably now be the procedural style that the show follows. So I think whether you like the series or not will be very dependent on how you feel about this episode. I think it's been okay. I know I probably was too hard on it in my first two videos, but to be fair, I was coming off the back of the Better Call Saul finale. That's one of the best lawyer shows of all time, and I think in general when you compare the MCU Disney Plus stuff to other shows out at the moment, they fall a bit short writing wise. In the last 2 months, The Boys, Stranger Things, Westworld, Blackbird, Sandman, House of the Dragon, and Umbrella Academy have all released, which I feel had episodes that were real standouts. I think these episodes so far are kind of throwaway story-wise, but they're really elevated by the performances. Tatiana does a brilliant job week to week, and having this Wong and Abomination heavy episode made it my favourite so far. Did I sound like I was still crapping on the show a bit there? Yeah, probably. I'm just trying to explain why it's not completely blowing me away, because I'm probably comparing it to other things that have come out recently. So again, probably being too hard on it, but I'm just trying to explain why it feels like another Disney Plus show, rather than being the must-see TV that the other shows I brought up are. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm sure I get told how much of an idiot I am again. So yeah, make sure you drop them in the comments below. I love reading them. They make me feel really good about myself. Now, we are running a competition right now and giving away 3 copies of Top Gun Maverick on the 15th of September. All you have to do to be on the chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the episode. We pick the comments at random at the end of the month, and the winners of the last one are on screen right now. So if that's you, message me on Twitter at HeavySpoilers. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of House of the Dragon, which will be linked on screen right now. There's lots to talk about, and whether you're a newcomer to the books or you've read them page to page 700 times like I have just that one chapter, then yeah, definitely go head over there right after this. Out of the way, thanks for sitting through the video. I've been Paul. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.